Archaic Records.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Archaic Records here with you again. My name is Jamie, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. And I thought I would hop on here real briefly tonight to give you a couple of my thoughts regarding what has been a pretty dark day in the music world, at least in my opinion. A sad day for music lovers everywhere, and when I refer to music lovers, I'm talking about lovers of real music. None of that Taylor Swift or Post Malone nonsensical bullshit. But as I'm sure you are aware, legendary Pogues frontman Shane MacGowan passed away early this morning at the age of 65. Not only was this a very dark day in the music world, but for me personally, I found this loss to be very devastating. Now, I have this trait in my personality. I don't know why I have it, that whenever these musicians pass away, I have a tendency to take it very hard. I think in the case of Shane MacGowan, especially because not only are the Pogues easily one of my top 10 favorite bands of all time, but I really consider Shane MacGowan to be one of my heroes. So I don't know why I have this tendency to take these losses extremely hard. Perhaps it's because I don't have a lot of friends in my real life, and this is kind of how I overcompensate for it. I don't know. I'd have to talk to some sort of a therapist probably about that. But as sad of a day as it was not completely unexpected, at least in my eyes. Late last week, it was announced that Shane MacGowan had been released from the hospital after months of intensive care treatment. And if you looked at social media posts, comments by social media users, a lot of people seemed to take this as a sign of encouragement. A lot of people were leaving comments talking about how Shane was getting better, how his health was improving, how he appeared to be on the mend. But for me, I took it as the opposite. When Shane MacGowan was released from the hospital, I mean, my stomach sank. I've talked to many people over the years. I've known people who have worked in both convalescence and in hospice. And I've been told that sometimes when a hospital can do nothing else for a patient, a lot of times a patient will be discharged and sent home to be comfortable and at peace when that time comes. Also, if you looked at the pictures that his wife, Victoria Clark, posted on social media a couple weeks ago of Shane in the hospital. Now, those were pictures I commented on last week, actually. Pictures that I didn't really like. Not that it isn't her right as a wife to take pictures and do whatever she wants with them. I am in no position to tell anybody how to manage their relationship or deal with their grief. But those were pictures that I personally didn't really like seeing posted public. I've always seen Shane MacGowan as being a very proud, dignified individual, sort of a private person. And when she posted those pictures, I thought personally, I thought it was in bad taste. I thought that she sort of violated those sort of traits in his personality. Now, like I said, I'm not going to tell Victoria Clark how to manage her marriage, manage her relationship, manage her social media presence. And my heart goes out to her today, especially. I give her my deepest condolences. She is going through what is probably my greatest fear in life, which is the loss of her spouse. But if you did look at those pictures, especially, and you looked at Shane MacGowan, not only did he look like he was at death's door, but to me the big tell was when you looked into his eyes. Shane MacGowan looked like he was scared. He looked like he was staring death in the face. He looked like he was sitting across the table from the Grim Reaper, who was basically saying, like, all right, Shane, one more round. We got to go, buddy. To me, Shane MacGowan will be probably most remembered as a legendary songwriter and an even more iconic drinker. I mean, Shane's appetite for the sauce was that of legend. I guess anybody who starts drinking at the age of 5 is probably going to end up in the Hall of Fame at some point or another. But to me, Shane MacGowan's legacy, and I think when you talk about an artist's legacy, it's a very personal thing between the artist and each individual fan. Now, for me personally, Shane MacGowan's biggest legacy is going to be on my mother's side of the family. I am of Irish heritage. My father's side of the family, I am of Norwegian heritage. Now, of course, there's a lot of other things mixed in there. Most American white folks are a bunch of mutts. But the two biggest pieces of the pie in my genetic makeup are Irish and Norwegian. So on this side, you've got white, and on this side, you've got bread. They come together, and there you are. But at a certain age, I remember I began to become sort of interested in the Irish side of my heritage, and I used to spend every summer as a kid with my grandfather on my mother's side, who was Irish. And I remember at one point in time, I believe I was either in late middle school or early high school, I asked my grandfather, I said, "Grandpa, are you proud of being Irish?" And he kind of looked up at me. My grandfather had this look he could give you before he answered, where you knew that you had asked him basically a stupid question. And he looked up at me, and with his sort of, predictable stoic monotone, he said, "No, that's stupid." And then after a brief pause, he said, "Why? Are you?" And I sat there sort of ashamed that I had even asked the question. And I heard myself sort of mousily squeak out, "No, of course not." Now, it wasn't that so much that I was proud of being Irish. I mean, at the time, I may have been grasping at straws for anything to be proud of. I mean, look at this. I mean, I'm working with limited resources here. But it was around that time that I began to become interested in that side of my heritage. Now, as long as I can remember, I've always had this sort of fascination with Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales, which is not to say that I'm not interested in Norway. I am. But I've always found the Irish and Ireland to be a lot more interesting than a bunch of well-mannered people eating lutefisk. And it was years later, as I discovered the music of the Pogues, that Shane MacGowan himself basically taught me what it was to be Irish. Through his lyrics, I learned about Irish heritage and Irish culture. I learned about his interpretation of Irish history. So for me, that is going to be my personal legacy with Shane MacGowan and the Pogues. And for that gift, I am eternally grateful, not only for opening my eyes to a little bit of what is my heritage, but setting it to some of the most beautiful and greatest music ever made. So at this point in time, I would like to propose a toast to Shane MacGowan. If you're out there, hold up your pint, hold up your whatever you are drinking. So to Shane MacGowan, the world is a wealthier place having had you here. Wherever you are tonight, my friend, I hope that the bar is fully stocked. It better be. And I hope that God himself buys you your first round. Cheers. We love you, man. Now, of course, I can just hear all of those little straight-edge bitches saying, "Oh, yeah, man, advocate the thing that killed him. That's really classy." Why don't you hit the bricks and take your vegan soy wraps with you? Shane MacGowan lived more before breakfast than most people do in their entire life. So here's to you, Shane. interesting to, as you sit here and ponder Shane MacGowan, and you try to wrap your mind around the fact that he's actually gone. I can't help but think anyway, that Nikki Sixx is out there somewhere planning his next world tour. And you are probably planning on buying tickets. Tisk, tisk, my friends. Anyway, man, thank you so much for checking out this video. This is Archaic Records. My name is Jamie, coming at you from Nashville, Tennessee. Be sure to go out and support your local record store. Whatever you do, wherever you are tonight, listen to the Pogues, raise a pint, dance up and down the streets, and celebrate the life of one of the greatest singers and songwriters in the history of mankind. I will be back this weekend with more regularly scheduled content. I know you're just about to pee down your leg, aren't ya? Anyway, until next time, my friends, I'll talk to you then. Rest in peace, Shane MacGowan.